Okay, this is the math assignment for May 8th, Friday, May 8th. And we're on page 915 and 916. So we're going to start here on page 915. And we're going to go over the example just to review. So it says, find the measure of the unknown angle, which would be D. And it says the combined angle measure is 140 degrees. So I've kind of marked it here, this. If I added this angle measure and this angle measure together, that would give me a 140 degree angle measurement, this whole thing. Okay, so it says to use an equation. And so when we do this, we take our combined angle measure, which is our whole amount, and we subtract the part. So down here it shows us we had 140 degrees, and we're subtracting the 25 degrees that was given. And when we put that in our calculator, we get 115 degrees. So the measure of the unknown angle is 115 degrees. So now go down to the practice. Number 1 says the combined angle measure is 50 degrees. So that's what we're going to start with, 50 degrees. That's our whole amount. And we're going to subtract the part. And the part that we're given here is 15 degrees. So if I plug into my calculator 50 minus 15, you will find that the degree H equals 35 degrees. That is the missing angle measure. Number 2, the combined angle measure is 135 degrees. So it's saying this whole angle, if we were to measure, would be 135 degrees. But they've only given us this part, 85 degrees, and we have to find P, the unknown. So we're going to make an equation. So we start with our whole amount that we're given is 135, and we subtract 85, which is our given amount. And when I plug 135 minus 85 into my calculator, I find that the missing measurement is 50 degrees. Okay, on to number 3. You are going to do number 3 on your own. You're also going to do number 5 on your own. I will do 4 and 6 with you right now. So it says the combined angle measure is 115 degrees. And we are finding this missing angle measure, which is T. So this angle here is what we're trying to find. But we weren't given this angle measure. So if I go to set up my equation, 115, which is my whole combined amount that I start with, and I go to take away a given amount, what am I going to take away? Well, if we look here, this little square symbol in the angle measure tells me that that's a right angle. And we know that a right angle always measures 90 degrees. So that is my given. Even though it's not written on the paper, I know that this symbol, this mark here, means that that's a 90 degree angle. So when I put into my calculator 115 minus 90, my missing angle measure, or angle measure T, equals 25 degrees. Okay, number 6 is very similar to number 4. Because again, I see this angle mark here, which means that these two rays form a right angle. That tells me that this combined angle measure, if I were to measure it, would be 90 degrees. Okay, and then we're given this angle measure of 35 degrees, and we're asked to find this missing angle measure. So I'm going to take my given and subtract it from my whole combined angle measure, and I'm going to put 90 minus 35 into my calculator, and I find the missing angle measure is 55 degrees. Okay, number 7. It says, suppose you draw a line from the center of a clock face to the number 12. When the minute hand gets to 3 on the clock face, the line and the minute hand form a 90-degree angle. So let's draw this because I need a visual. Unless you have a clock at home that you can draw on. I recommend asking your parents before you do that. Just kidding. Don't do that. Okay, so if I make a clock, and I'm just going to fill in 12, 1, 2, and 3, because that's all we're talking about in this word problem, okay? So that's all I need. Now let's go back and reread it. It says, suppose you draw a line from the center of a clock face to the number 12. So if I draw a line and I go straight up, okay? When the minute hand gets to the 3 on the clock face, so that would mean another hand is going this way and touching the 3, it's going to form a 90-degree angle, which is a right angle. We knew that. What angle do the line and the minute hand make when the minute hand is on the 2? So it's not asking us what kind of angle is this that we made with the line going through the 12 and a line going through the 3. They want to know what angle measure is this right here. Well, how do I figure that out? So you could take your protractor and you could measure it if you wanted. But we're going to do a little more math with this. We're going to use some numbers and some equations to solve this. So I know that on a clock, the numbers are all spaced evenly, right? So if I split a line through each one of my numbers that I've drawn here, okay? I know that these are equal parts. So whatever their angle measure is, they have to be equal or the same, okay? So if this angle that we started with is 90 degrees, I can take that 90 degrees and divide it by 3. Now I do that because I want to know what these 3 equal measures are, okay? That's what I want to find out. So if I take 90 and I divide it by 3, I'm going to end up with 30. And I'm going to put a degree mark there, okay, because we're still talking about angles and degrees. So each one of these little sections is 30 degrees. That's important to know because if I'm looking at, taking this one away, I'm just looking at the angle measure from the 12 to the 2. So I just need to combine this angle measure and this angle measure. So if they're each 30, I can just add 30 plus 30 and I find that my angle measure between the 12 and the 2 equals 60 degrees. Okay, let's move on to number 8. Test practice. This one you're doing on your own, but I will give you a couple of hints. The combined angle measure is 120 degrees. What is the value of n plus 20? Now this sounds really complicated, but it is not. So the first step that you need to do is to figure out what does n equal. Okay? So in order to do that, just like we did before, we're going to take the combined angle measure, which is 120, and we're going to subtract what we're given, which would be 80 on this one. Okay? You're going to plug these numbers, this equation, into your calculator and get an answer. You're going to write your answer over there. Whatever your answer is here for n, that would be n, then you're going to put it in an equation that we have here. Because it's asking what is n plus 20. So this would equal n, but you're going to put a number there to represent n. And then you're going to take whatever that number is that you got for n and add it to 20. Whatever that equals is going to be your answer for number 8, your final answer. So I'll give you a hint. It is either C, 60, or D, 80. So 120 minus 80, that will give you what the value of n is. Whatever the value of n is, you're going to add 20 and get your final answer.